Hello, Randy Rain here, and this time with the retro repair we have the Tomy BLIP, the digital game. Yeah, this one has some issues. It won't serve right now, so hey, let's break this down, get it working again, and I'll show you exactly how this thing works. Pretty crazy stuff for 1977. Step 1, let's get it apart. Screw underneath the battery door and 3 more on the back. We need to get you closer. To explain how this works, just need to keep going and tearing it down. We can get rid of this, and then as soon as we get rid of this, it's going to go. Alright, let's get rid of this, and we're going to have to get closer, so let's get rid of this. Let's get you even closer. Let's start with the scoring system. This circular piece has the number of the scores printed around here, and there's a ratcheting system right here that you can see here that only allows to be done in one direction. So I can only spin it this way, I can only spin this one this way. Try to do it the other way, the ratcheting system here stops it with these little teeth. Then you have, on both sides, are these arms. And these arms, when you move them back and forth, they advance the opposite side's scoring system. These get activated when someone serves. So every time you serve someone, you're giving them a point. And that's why the receiver starts off on R in the game, so that after the first serve, they're at 0. So that's what these things do. Over here you have these 2 mechanisms. These are really, really neat. Basically, these stop you from being able to push down more than one button, which I will get to that. But let's move on to here. The only thing that the batteries do in this system is turn on the LED. That's it. Everything else, the movement and everything else, is done by gears. And it's done by Clockwork. Underneath here is this one, this gear, and it's going to turn this. This piece allows you to, making backwards doesn't do anything, so you only go forward. That winds it up. There's a coil in here that is winding up, and then as that coil wants to come undone, that's the power, and the power comes through the series of gears to reduce the speed and build up the torque, all the way until you come out right here. And so the power is coming out to this gear. These 2 gears just idle. So this gear is attaching to the drive of the gearbox. It gets in there. And then there's this space which a gear goes to, and then this gear is also just an idle gear, and I'll show you what those do. But first we need to look at what goes on top of this. The mechanism that goes on top of it is this thing. That gear is right here that fits in between those 2. That gear is not connected to here, it spins within there. So this gear spins this piece down here. this whole circular piece here. So you can see as I spin this gear, it's rotating that disc, and on that disc is a gear that's riding along the teeth on the outer wall. There it is right there. You can see the gear passing by. And that gear that is riding around like that has the peg here, this pin, that is inside this little slot, which is an arm. So you can see that the pin is in this arm here. And so this is going to be going, oscillating in this direction here. The gear spinning this disc spins around this gear. This gear has a peg in it that goes into this arm slot. This arm is now connected to this arm, and which slides back and forth down here. So I'm going to spin it by hand, and let's have a look at its movements. So it looks like this mechanism allows for that LED to move pretty straight across. So now this piece fits on there, and on the back side there are two pins, two little pegs sticking up here and here. And they either fit into these slots here or they fit outside. Now if this one went into here, there's obviously spots it can't get to. So I don't think that this one is supposed to be inside. Here is something I discovered, and it has to mean something. On these gears, there is a hole right there. A hole for some odd reason in that gear. Under this gear, there's a hole for some reason right there in that gear. I discovered that there are holes in the bottom of this piece here, but these are two clean holes. And if you take these gears and place them, you can line them up with the hole. You can line that one up with the hole, and then if you come down here, you can line that one up with the hole. If you look at the holes now, you can see the back of the instructions that are pasted on the back of the machine. My guess, and this is just a guess, but my guess is that this is how you time the thing. So if those are in the holes right there, and this gets put straight up and down, then it should be timed correctly. Okay, so let's wind it up now. So now you have these pieces, which is the serve mechanism and the buttons that go here. Spring loaded. The end of this spring has to be up against this little wall here. And this little peg down here has to go onto this arm for the scoring. And now you can see down here how these things work. That piece down here, this piece, has a slope here, a notch, and a slope here. So when you push down this one, that slope causes it to move that direction. When you push on the far end one, it makes it go the other direction. When you push the center one, it just goes into that notch. Nothing happens. This is what keeps you from pushing down more than one button. If I push this button down, I now can't push this one because it won't go into the slot anymore. And I can't push this one down because it slid over so much that past the slope. Same with this side. I can't now push on this one down, and then this one I can't push down. And if I push that one down, now it can't move to either side, and so it only allows me to push that one down. So there's the clever little mechanism that only allows you to push one of the buttons down. Okay, why this other section is taken apart, it's just going to come back. Let me show you how these buttons work. Now when the lid gets put down on top, these buttons are going to be pressed down just a hair more than they are now. So let me to wind it up. So as you can see, with these pushed down just a hair, this one right here has this thing stopped. So when I pull the serve thing, all of this is going to rotate in this direction, and it's going to free up, allowing it to go. And now you see it comes back and it's stopped on this one. And now it's moved to the top one. If I would have pushed this one down, this would have been underneath and it would have continued to pass on by. I'm just going to push down 2. Okay, it was 3. Push down 2. There you go. There you go. And it was a 1 there. And so the other side works the exact same way. Goes in like that. And that's what this little switch does when it turns to 1 player or 2 player. It fits right in here, and all it's doing is holding down the serve. So if this gets pushed over into that position, holds it down, so this will always come back. Look at it now. See, it does the same thing over here. And if I was to hold down 2 here, see if I can get there it did. So if you're having issues with the buttons in this thing, it's either they're not getting pushed down far enough, so you might have to adjust and bend these little things into place so that they work good again. But that's pretty much it. So put this thing back together. Well, there you have it. Blip from Tomy, the digital game. Now, I looked it up to make sure I was completely right and I wouldn't be wrong in some way. But digital could either mean digital logic circuits, or it could mean digital display, as in digits, as in numbers and letters. I can honestly say neither one of those is here, so there is nothing digital about this game. It's just an LED moving around with some mechanics, but man, are those mechanics pretty cool. So there it is. Hope you enjoyed this video. That's the Tomy BLIP.